Again, you people are trying to make a gun tuber out of me. Alright, here's how this works. Why I don't like serpas. Glock and a serpa rig. Issue number one, big one. These 3 bolts is what's holding the gun part of the holster, to the belt clip part of the holster, right here. Those grooves are rather large. The only thing that's holding it, one attached to the other, is basically those little grooves with a little bit of an overlay on each one. It's very easy for me to come up behind you and just, this is held to your belt, this, I'm holding your gun, and I'm just gonna rip it down. It's gonna rotate and rip out of this. The bolts are gonna rip out of this. I've seen them fail both ways. Most of the time this guy fails, the clip fails. If that clip doesn't fail on me ripping it down, this guy fails. This part rips right here. So this is very thin, and when I apply enough torque onto this thing, this rips right off, right? So if you look at any other setups, they're much beefier and there's much more meat around them. Now, I know what you're gonna say, or you potentially can think, my Blackhawk, my serpa, whatever, this is the serpa holsters, right? My serpa attachment is not as flimsy as this one. This is a civilian one. Mine is the dropped and offset law enforcement one. And yes, dropped and offset law enforcement ones are a little more rugged than this guy. That is absolutely true. They are more rugged, but you definitely should look yours over. The ones, the serpas that are dropped and offset, like, you know, better ones, they will fail, absolutely fail the same way, but just they will fail with much more effort. I need to apply. This one fails very easily. The other one, you need to apply a whole bunch of more effort. Now, let's see if I can make that happen. The second issue that I have is a rather big one. How do people end up shooting themselves with these things? Here's what happens. You're like, hey, I'm gonna keep my fingers straight, and it's perfectly fine. If you can just keep your fingers straight and press this button in, as long as the button works, you're gonna be fine. What often happens is schmutz gets underneath this button and the button stops working. That is, you know, it's rare, but it happens. If the button starts working, you're done. This gun is not coming out of there. I had to take this thing apart and pry things from underneath the button in order to get the guns out before. That did happen to me. It sucks. It's really not cool. You can get like a picker and like try to use the picker to get the stuff from underneath there. Just know if something gets in between, usually it's right here, if something gets in between the button and the rest of the holster, this gun is not coming out without, you know, you prying stuff, whatever it is that got in there. Little stones get in there, little dust gets in there, and then the gun does not come out. Second thing, and that one is way worse. So this is very normal, and it happens all the time. This holsters, I am not good at any of this YouTube junk, so let's see what I can do here. Inside this holster is a little mechanism. See that little claw sticking up? Now I'm gonna have to try to do 3 things together. That claw sticking up right there, this guy, see I'm moving it in and out by pressing the button? That claw is what goes in and out, and it holds down to this part right here, to the trigger guard. So it latches onto the trigger guard. The problem becomes, well, that little spring in the front of it is meant to provide tension against it, whatever, so it doesn't flop around. Besides the point, that's not the important part. The important part is Blackhawk holsters, as far as I know, and I think all of them, I'm not gonna say yes, all of them, absolutely, but most retention holsters that are Blackhawk or 511 or whatever, they all, 511 by the way, a lot of 511 holsters are Blackhawk, just, you know, rebranded or whatever, collaboration or whatever the heck it is. Yeah, idea there is they tend to lock up when you try to pull the gun up before pressing the button. So here's how that works. You pull up on the gun, try to press the button, and all of a sudden the button doesn't work. What you need to do is you need to release, press, and then the gun is going to come out. See how I started curling my finger? That's exactly the issue. This holster is meant to, that I slap the hand onto it, flat finger, that's why there is a groove here and here, flat finger, and I come right up. Unfortunately, what tends to happen is you get the gun, start yanking up, and then you try to flat finger it and the button doesn't go in. It just doesn't go. So it's a very human nature for you to just curl that finger in. And it's very normal. And I've seen students do it over and over and over again. I've seen it many, many times. What ends up happening, you get on the gun, you start pulling up because you need to shoot right now, and the gun does not come up. You press the button and the string does not engage. So you press with everything you got, pull up, press with everything you got, and it doesn't come up. So what you do is you're gonna push in, the button releases, but you already curled your finger and you are all white and curled up. So when you yank up, this smacks right into the trigger. Let's try this again. You yank on the gun, press the button, nothing happens. You press harder and harder and harder. At one point you realize you need to release. You push in, the button releases, but when you pull up, the finger is already curled up, and that slams right into the trigger. I hope you understood what I'm saying. Now, this problem, not a problem. This is a feature, it's not a bug. It's meant to do that, right? The holster is meant to do that. Obviously not meant for you to shoot yourself, but what it's meant to do is it's meant to prevent the draw. If somebody started by pulling up, pressing the button afterwards does not disengage anything. I'm gonna try this guy. It's the same idea. If I just press the button, the gun comes right up very easily. There's not a problem at all. I press the button, the gun comes right up. If I try to pull up first and then press the button, nothing disengages. I'm pulling with all I got. Nothing happens. I need to release, and now the gun is gonna come up. Let's try again, Blackhawk holster. I'm gonna start by yanking up, press the button, the hood releases, but the second the trigger one does not release. I need to push back in, and then the gun is gonna come up. Again, if I start by pressing the button and then pull right up, the gun comes up, no problem. If I start by pulling up and then press the button, the hood releases, but that latch does not. The latch works the same way, more or less. Right, so I need to release, and then the gun is gonna come right up. Have to fix my band-aid. Besides for that and kissing the boo-boo, that's the only thing that works. Safariland don't work that way. This is an ALS SLS with a Beretta in it. The way this guy works is you can pull up on this and nothing's gonna happen. You need to release, this can be released while you're pulling up on the gun, and this ALS can also be released while you're pulling up on the gun. So if somebody's yanking up on the gun, they can release everything while the gun is being yanked up. It does not work the same way as your Blackhawk rigs. I hope that is more or less understood. Maybe yes, maybe no. I can try old school, nicely worn. Oops, now I need to attach rig. Same idea. Oh, this is out of whack completely. Yeah, that poor freaking ALS does not even want to work. Okay, it binds up right now. Okay, fine. So I can yank up on it and then I can pull and this opens right up. Same thing here. I can pull up, push. Oh gosh, this is rusty and messed up. Push and it's gonna open right up, even though I was pulling on the gun, right? So pulling on the gun does not change anything. You can start by pulling. So here, ALS, I pull with everything I got, I release, and it releases right up. Try that stick here, pull, press, and nothing happens. Let go, press, and now the gun comes up. What I was talking about before, look how much beef this guy has between the screws, how much plastic all around the screws. So this guy is not going anywhere when you try to ratchet, like rank on it. Same thing here. A lot of meat on that thing. This can actually be ripped off, just way harder. It's a sturdier plastic, there's more of it. Same thing above the loop right here. Way harder for me to rip that off. Compared to this guy, nice and skinny and slim. Very like thin plastic, so there's not much plastic in there. that's the story. Let me see if I can show you a quick disarm type of things.